everyone, and welcome. I'm the director of this show, the SAL Drama production, Jekyll and Hyde. Now then, over 15 years ago, our society was founded by a Siobhan Ann Luckett, which is how we got our name from. However, she has sadly passed away due to complications with epilepsy. As such, all proceeds from tonight's show will be donated to the Young Epilepsy Foundation in her name. In case of a fire, which is not planned, we have 2 fire exits down here at the bottom, and 1 right at the back behind all of you. Now that we got all that out of the way, prepare for the tale of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
I incline to Cain's heresy. I let my brother go to the devil in his own way. It was frequently my fortune to be the last good influence and the last reputable acquaintance in the lives of down-going men. And to such as these, so long as they came about my chambers, I never marked a shade of change in my demeanor. It is the mark of a modest man to accept his friendly circle ready-made from the hands of opportunity. Hence, no doubt, the bond that united me to Mr. Richard Enfield, a client and a distant kinsman with whom I often enjoyed rambling through London. It was on one of these rambles that I first came upon it, the door in which began this strange and morbid series of events. The door stood on an ordinary by-street in a busy quarter of London. The street was small, and what can be called quiet. Disturbing what else would be peace, a sinister block of building thrust forward onto the street. It was 2 stories high, showed no window, nothing but a door on the lower story and a blind forehead of discolored wall on the upper. The door, which was blistered and disdained, had neither bell nor knocker. Tramps slouched in the recess and struck matches on the panels. School children kept shop upon the step, and the schoolboy had tried his knife on the mouldings. And for close upon a generation, no one had appeared to drive away these random visitors or repair their ravages.
Have you ever remarked upon that door before? It brings to mind a strange story, if you'll excuse the gossip, of course, but it regards a man well known within London, a man of higher standing. A man of your acquaintance?
Go on, Enfield.
Well, it happened one morning. The streets were as busy as any other day, and, in the rush, the 2 were coming from different sides of the same corner. A strange man and a young girl.
And then?
Well, the 2 ran into each other, naturally at the corner. Then came the horrible part.
Rat! Out of my way! Massive waste of space!
The commotion caught my attention as I was headed down the street, and I did what any man would do in this situation. I grabbed the man away from the poor girl. Good God, man! Have you gone mad? The man hissed at me with a grotesque look. Watch yourself, man! Don't think we'll just let you slip away. Apologize to the girl and her family at once. By God, your name will be ringing from one end of London to the next. There'll be such a scandal in your name, you'll never hear the end of it.
If you wish to make capital out of this accident, then I have no choice. Name your figures.
Well, we screwed up to around £100 for the girl and her family. The man led us through by-streets and alleyways until we came upon it. A building with 1 door, no windows, and no sign of habitation. Wait here, the man said, as he disappeared through the door.
And that was the last you saw of him?
Not so, for he came directly out with a cheque for £90 and £10 in gold.
The cheque was a forgery, of course.
So I thought, and he seemed to know it. So he said, set your minds at rest, and I will stay with you while you cash the cheque.
What, was the devil not afraid of daylight?
Well, he waited with us until 9 a.m. when the banks opened, and the cheque was cashed and not a question asked.
What was the man like?
Well, he was, not an easy man to describe. He was a fellow nobody would have anything to do with. There was something wrong with him, something downright detestable. Never quite saw a man I disliked so. He must have been deformed, but to what degree I couldn't specify the point. What I do know is that he lives in my mind so vividly I can still picture him in this very moment.
Do you remember the name of the signer of the check?
I shall never forget it. It was Edward Hyde.
Edward Hyde?
Do you know him?
Never saw the man before in my life. Will you do me a favor, Enfield? Never speak of this again.
With all my heart, I shall shake on that, Utterson. Good heavens, is that the time already? Well, I must be off. Good day, old chap.
Good day, Enfield. What a strange coincidence. When Henry Jekyll made his will, he inserted in it a clause that in the case of his unexplained absence or disappearance exceeding 3 calendar months, all his possessions were to pass into the hands of his friend and benefactor, Edward Hyde. And for the said Edward Hyde to step into the same Henry Jekyll's shoes without further delay, free from question, free from all obligation, save the payment of a few small sums to members of the household. I refused to lend assistance in the making of his will, for I thought it madness. I now begin to feel it a disgrace. First it was ignorance that stayed my indignation, but now it is knowledge. It was bad enough when the name was just a name of which I could learn no more, but now it appears clothed in a raiment most hideous. What relationship could possibly exist between this coward who delights in torturing children and Henry Jekyll, a man respected by all? I decided to begin my investigation with a mutual friend, Dr. Lanyon, a longtime colleague of both myself and Henry's. She herself was a doctor, and a rather accomplished one at that. Enfield and Jekyll had both pursued her, and both been promptly shut down, her being far more inclined to her studies in scientific matters than the role of a wife or mother. And unblinkered by the pink haze of attraction, she and Henry grew as both scientific rivals and partners. Perhaps the only doctor in London that was Jekyll's equal, a remarkable woman by any means, if perhaps cutting and direct at times. I hoped her insight would take me further in the search for this elusive Mr. Hyde. I suppose, Lanyon, that you and I are the 2 oldest friends that Jekyll has.
I wish the friends were younger, but I suppose we are, and what of it? Although I see little of him now.
Indeed, I thought you shared a bond of common interest.
We had, but it is more than 10 years since Henry Jekyll became too fanciful for me. He began to go wrong in mind, and though of course I continue to take an interest in him for old time's sake, as they say, I see and have seen devilish little of the man. Not that it has become unwelcome, not to mention how belittling the man has become. You know as well as I in my position, I cannot take up such ridiculous slice of fancy as he. What a laughingstock I had become, yet he never seems to understand the importance of his position. Such unscientific balderdash would have changed Damon and Pythias.
I wish to speak to you, Jekyll. I'm worried for his safety. He's been so reclusive, as you say, and I worry it's more than ill health he's fallen into. Do you recall any protege he may have had? An Edward Hyde?
Hyde? I'm afraid not. Perhaps the man has found another as fanciful as him. I'm afraid despite our friendship, Henry always was a rather private man.
Well, perhaps it's as you say, though I'm loath to sit here and prattle idly without speaking to him myself. Well, I shall have to do some investigating, as it were. If he is Mr. Hyde, I will be Mr. Seek. I never approved of it, you know.
My well? Yes, certainly. I know that. You have told me that before.
Well, I'll tell you so again. I've been hearing something of your Hyde.
I do not care to hear more. That's a matter I thought we had agreed to drop.
What I've heard has been abominable. Enfield told me a very strange story of a strange and violent man found down by Soho trampling some poor girl. He stopped him, of course, and demanded payment for the girl's family, But when he handed him the check, why, Henry, I was surprised to hear Hyde's name was etched upon it. And for that very man to be the sole benefactor of your will. Now, Henry, as your lawyer, I must insist you tell me what is going on.
It can make no change. You do not understand the position, Utterson, which is a painful one, but it is one of those affairs that cannot be mended by talking.
Henry, I have been your lawyer, your friend, for years. But no one has seen you in weeks. Who is Edward Hyde? A rival or a distant cousin? You've never spoken of him in all of our years as friends. Henry, you added him to your will. For God's sake, man, talk to me. Is he blackmailing you? I am a lawyer. I can be sure that you are free of him and that he faces justice.
My good Utterson, that is kind of you, truly. And I cannot find words to express my thanks. And I trust you, truly, before any man alive, but it is not as you fancy. It is not as bad as that. And just to set your good heart to rest, I assure you, the moment I choose, I can rid myself of Mr. Hyde.
I hope so, for your own sake.
I thank you, and I give you my hand on it. I would like to add one word, Utterson, and I hope you will take it in good part. This is a private matter, and I beg of you to leave it as such. But as you have touched upon business, and for the last time, I do sincerely take a very great interest in Hyde. And I ask that if I am taken from him, you will bear with him and get him his rights. I think you would if you knew all. And it would be a great weight off my mind if you would promise.
I can't pretend that I shall ever like him.
I do not ask that you should like him. I only ask for justice. I only ask that you help him when I am no longer here.
Well, I promise.
There. I knew you would. I cannot find words to express my thanks.
There's no need, Henry. I'll be on my way. I'm sorry to have bothered you.
He'll never understand. None of them will. 7th of September. Tincture of salt and monocaine. Little effect. Quickening of the heart. Fluctuating moods. 18th of September. Tincture taken daily for a week. 28th of September. Double both measures. Change. Transformation. Both mind and body reflecting one another. If only they knew me. The thoughts I have. The things I yearn to do. They would cast me out. Thank heavens. Nobody can read a man's inner thoughts. I am a good man.
A good man. If they knew the things you wanted, the things you'd have me do. You are as rotten as sin, Henry Jekyll.
Despite Henry's insistence that I leave the matter alone, I cannot sate my curiosity. I spend the next few weeks as something of an amateur detective, waiting outside that door that Enfield had brought to my attention. Had I not been so preoccupied with professional curiosity and concern for my dear friend, I may have found the matter shameful. Respectable men do not spend their time skulking around Soho in between business hours. As time went on, I found myself losing hope. I wondered if the building were even his home. Perhaps the man was simply paying a visit. Or Enfield's accosting of the man had scared him off. All those concerns left me, however, as those heavy footsteps approached down the dark alley. Ah, Edward Hyde, I presume.
Yes, that is my name. What do you want?
I am an old friend of Doctor Jekyll's, Mr. Utterson of Gaunt Street. You must have heard my name. And meeting you here so conveniently, I thought you might allow me in to discuss with you both.
You will not find the doctor here. He's out of home, away from London. How do you know me?
Before I answer that, will you allow me a favor?
And what, pray tell, would that be?
Will you let me see your face? I see. Now I will know you. It may prove useful.
Yes. It is serendipitous that we have met I'm sure we will have future dealings. And now, how do you know me?
By description.
Whose description?
We have mutual friends.
Mutual friends? Who are they?
Well, for example, Dr. Jekyll.
He told you of I, did he? The Doctor would do no such thing. The relationship between he and I is a private one. And becoming, is it not, of men of your status to go around, spreading lies and gossip?
Now, that is not fitting language. I had not expected Enfield's description of the man to have been so apt. He is man, yes, by all accounts well enough looking by appearance. Something was off. Something primordial that set the hairs on my neck on end, that beneath that smile was the maw of some ancient predator, that an unspoken darkness in his eyes, as if a beast would tear through his clothes and flesh. Perhaps it was something of a hysteria, a preconceived hatred of the man, stemming from my knowledge of him, my eyes putting to reason the darkness that seemed to lurk within this otherwise unremarkable gentleman. There was something more, if I could just put a name to it. Bless me, the man seemed hardly human. Something troglodytic, shall we say? Or is it that old rhyme about Dr. Fell? Or is it the mere radiance of a foul soul that transpires through and thus transfigures its clay continent? The last, I think. For oh, my poor dear Henry Jekyll, if I ever saw Satan's signature upon a face, it is on that of your new friend.
Ah, isn't the elusive Dr. Jekyll?
Mr. Carew, my apologies. I was rushing back to my laboratory and I'm afraid, regretfully, with looking through my journal, I did not notice you. If you wouldn't mind giving it back, I'll be sure to keep an eye out this time.
I'm sure you will. Now then, let's see what you've been wasting my funding on. Amusing, is it not? Here I stand celebrating my engagement to the very woman who dismissed you for such thoughtlessness. It's no surprise I got the girl, Jekyll. You'd much rather fiddle with your test tubes and experiments than with the fairer sex. You meddle in that which should be left alone. God's creation is immutable, Henry. You can't meddle with the mind.
Lucy is happy with you, I'm sure, and intellectual match.
Are you mocking me, boy? Remember who it is who funds those experiments of yours?
I forget myself.
Where's that biting tongue now? I'll have you in my office before the week is out! Where are my blasted keys? Surely not. Ah! Don't you see where you're going, man, you damn fool?
My apologies, sir. You're not the MP Carew, is that correct?
I am he who is asking.
It must be dangerous. In this end of town, at this time of night, why, a man like yourself, one snide insult, one common remark, and who knows what could happen?
Are you threatening me I will not allow myself to be intimidated.
Oh, no, sir. Not a threat. A promise.
Guy!
Looking down on your fellow man so carelessly.
Ah! 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 Ah!
Good God, what have I done?
He would have taken everything from you. He would have taken me. You did the right thing bringing me out. And after everything he said about you, said about us, and look what his so-called masculinity has wrought. Nothing but a feeble old fool.
My God, you're hideous. You killed him.
We killed him. You pathetic sap. We both know you called upon me, used me like you always do, to push every inconvenience, every bully away.
I had nothing to do with this. You beast. You're a devil, a demon latched onto my body, a twisted ghost of a man. Nothing more than an overfilled vial, a rotten specimen.
If I am a demon, then you, Henry Jekyll, are from the very pits of hell themselves. You might try and fool yourself, but you know as well as I, we are one in the same. Every part of yourself that you despise, that you lock away, that you yearn for, stands here, stands I. No more snivelling, Professor Jekyll, running and cowering from any sign of conflict. You could live freely as me. Was it not exhilarating? Stepping out on a street in a body that was not your own. A blank canvas. No preconceived notions, no past judgments to tie us down.
You're wrong. I never wanted this. I am no killer. I am a scientist. I'm a well-respected man. I was wrong. You can't be me. You're pure, unspeakable evil. That has to be it.
How you try and fool yourself. Utterson may be a lawyer, but even he cannot defend a soul like yours, Henry Jekyll. Weak, shriveling Jekyll. So pious, so forthright, virtuous, and free of sin. Yet you and I both know what it is you desire. Those filthy thoughts that keep you up at night, that you lock away, that would turn your most loyal friend into an enemy.
A friend. Perhaps she's the only one that can help.
After that night, I saw little of the good doctor. On the 12th, and again on the 14th, his door was shut against me. The doctor is confined to the house, his butler said, and saw no one. On the 15th, I tried again, and was again refused. Having now been used for the past 2 months to seeing my friend almost daily, I found this return of solitude to weigh heavily on my spirits. I felt it fit that I betook myself again to the home of Dr. Lanyon.
I have had a shock, Utterson, and I fear I may never recover. It's a question of weeks. Well, life has been pleasant. I liked it. Yes, sir, I used to like it. I sometimes think if we knew all, then we should be more glad to get away.
Jekyll is ill as well. Have you seen him?
I wish to see her no more of Dr. Jekyll. I'm quite done with that man. I beg thee will spare me any illusion to one whom I regard as dead.
Isn't there anything that can be done? We three are very old friends, Lanyon, and we shall not live to make others.
Nothing can be done. Ask him yourself.
He will not see me.
I am not surprised at that. Someday, Utterson, after I am gone, we may perhaps come to learn the right and wrong of all this. But I cannot tell you. And in the meantime, if you can sit and talk of other things, for God's sake, stay and do so. But if you cannot keep there that accursed topic, then for God's sakes, go. For I cannot bear it.
I had never seen Lanyon in such a hysterical state. My mind began to race. What could have Jekyll done to terrify her so? And had it something to do with that villain Hyde? My racing mind was no remedy. I resolved to speak with the man myself. I left Lanyon's that night, not knowing it would be the last I ever saw my dear friend.
I'm afraid, sir, my master is quite busy and will admit no one. It's been this way for weeks. I have my orders, though, between you and I, sir, if you excuse my loose tongue, I'm afraid my master's not been all himself lately.
He said he was ill, but I worry it all has something to do with the grisly actions of his so-called protege. I fear he's not taking it well, along with his falling out with Lanyon. What could have torn the two apart? I can't tell.
He seems to have taken it quite harshly, sir. He does nothing but pace around in there, and well, no, it isn't my place to say.
Well, I fear you've overstepped your place already, so whatever it is, be out with it. I'll make sure your master doesn't know how forthright you've been.
Well, sir, he seems to have gone a bit mad. We're staying inside, you see. We servants can hear him talking to himself.
Talking? There's no harm in that. Many a quandary solved through hearing it spoken.
No, it ain't like that, sir. These aren't musings. He argues, shouts at himself. All one-sided arguments. We thought he was talking to him.
Him? Him who? Poole, I tire of this. Be straight with me, man.
Hyde! We thought he was talking with Master Hyde, but not another soul has entered or left that lab in weeks. I saw him. I shouldn't have spied. But you have to understand my position, sir. I've been in the service of the good doctor for years, and to think that he was meddling with this murderer. But when I looked in there was no one else to be seen. Almost as if he was arguing with his reflection.
Although one is to loathe a loose tongue, you did right in telling me. Be sure this goes no further. Your master is in a well-respected position, but his association with that Hyde fellow, I'd hate to see what the gossips and fishwives would make of this. Now, take me to the good doctor. I simply can't allow him to stew like this any longer.
Master, Mr. Utterson is here to see you. He most insisted and would not be turned away.
Henry, I know you're in there. I can't allow this to go on any longer.
Utterson, I swear to God, I am done with him in this world. I bind my honor to you. I will never set eyes on him again. It is all at an end, and indeed, he does not want my help. You do not know him as I, but he is safe. He is quite safe. And mark my words, he will never be heard of again.
You swear to me, you swear you aren't hiding him? By God, just give the man up!
I cannot! He's gone. I cannot. He will not speak to me. He will not be reasoned with. But by God, is he gone?
It is not my place, but as your friend, if I cannot help you, perhaps Lanyon can. Whatever ridiculous falling out the two of you had, I worry she does not have much time left.
I mean, from henceforth, to lead a life of extreme seclusion. You must not be surprised, nor must you doubt our friendship if my door is often shut sometimes, even to you. You must suffer me to go my own dark path. I have brought upon myself a horror that I the chief of sinners. I am the chief of sufferers. Also, I did not know that this world contained place for such horrors and dangers so unmanning. And you can do but one thing, Utterson, to lighten this destiny. And that is to respect my isolation.
I left him that night, puzzled and furious to be treated as such a stranger, for him to be so indifferent to Lanyon's malaise. Seemed my fears were correct. He must have committed some terrible wrong to Dr. Lanyon, Hyde's influence, I was sure. Jekyll's seclusion continued until Lanyon's funeral. I was almost glad of it. Had I seen him there, I may have been compelled to confront him, to demand to know what he had done. I did not have to wait long for my answer, as 3 days after her funeral, Lanyon's letters were delivered to me.
Utterson, if you are reading this, I have passed. Having witnessed horrors that I hope from my recounting of you will understand why I cast you away in the last of my days. My death was caused by our mutual friend Henry Jekyll. Although the man did not lay hand upon me, I am afraid what I bore witness was something which no man was to behold. It began the morning of the 19th, 2 days after our meeting. I received a rather peculiar letter from Jekyll. Dear Lanyon, you are one of my oldest friends, and although we may differ at times on scientific questions, I cannot remember, at least on my side, any break in our affection. There was never a day when, if you had said to me, Jekyll, my life, my honour, my reason depend upon you, I would not have sacrificed my left hand to help you. Lanyon, my life, my honour, my reason are all at your mercy. If you fail me tonight, I am lost. You might suppose after this preface, I'm going to ask you for something dishonourable to grant. Judge for yourself. I was given rather strange instructions to collect a locked suitcase from Jekyll's own home. It escaped me then, so I could not collect it himself, but I was far too curious to cease following his instructions then. When I returned to my chamber, I found inside the drawer a most peculiar array of items, a strange tincture and salts, along with a journal in Jekyll's own hand, full of measurements I can make neither heads nor tails of. A knock at the door took me out of my musings. There was something about the man. Primeval. I know you may find this hysteric, but I found that just the sight of this man left me on edge. Perhaps it were simply the late hour of his visit, but I felt as though the man were a beast, some kind of primordial beast that can only exist at such an hour. But I could not tell you what exactly it was about him that left me on edge. Are you from Dr. Jekyll?
Yes. Have you got it? Have you got it?
Come, sir. You forget that I've yet the pleasure of your acquaintance. Be seated, if you please.
My apologies, Lanyon. Seems my politeness has shown its heels to my patience. I come here at the behest of your colleague, Dr. Henry Jekyll, and I thought... I was told that there is a suitcase.
There it is, sir. Compose yourself. He turned a dreadful smile to me, and as if with the decision of despair, plucked away the sheet. At the sight of its contents, he uttered one loud sob of such immense relief that I sat petrified. And then, in a voice that was already fairly well under control, he asked,
Have you a graduated glass?
I did, set upon my desk from previous experiment, and for the next few moments I watched as the man began concocting some kind of elixir.
And now, to settle what remains, will you be wise? Will you be guided? Will you suffer me to take forth this glass from my hands, and to go from this place without further parley? Or has the greed, curiosity too much command of you? Think before you speak, for it shall be done as you decide. As you decide, you shall be neither richer nor wiser, unless the sense of service rendered to a man in mortal distress may be counted as a kind of riches of the soul. Or, if you shall so prefer to choose, new prophecies of knowledge and avenues to fame and power shall be laid open to you here, upon the instant, and your sight shall be blasted by a prodigy to stagger the unbelief of Satan.
sir, you speak enigmas. Well, perhaps not wonder I hear you with no very strong impression of belief. Although I have gone too far in the way of inexplicable services to pause before I see the end.
It is well, Lanyon, that you remember your vows. For what follows is under the seal of our profession. And now, you, who have so long been bound to the most narrow and material views, you, who have long derided the value of transcendental medicine, you, who have derided your superiors, behold!
He put the glass to his lips and drank at one gulp. A cry followed. He reeled, staggered, clutched at the table and held on, staring with injected eyes, gasping with open mouth, and as I looked, there came my thought. A change. He seemed to swell. His face went suddenly black. The features seemed to melt and alter. And the next moment, I leapt to my feet, jumped back against the wall. My arm raised to shield me from that prodigy. My mind submerged in terror. Oh God! Oh God! What he told me in the next hour, I cannot bring my mind to set on paper. I saw what I saw. I heard what I heard, and my soul sickened at it. And yet now, when that sight has faded from my eyes, I ask myself if I believe it. And I cannot answer. My life is shaken to its roots. Sleep has left me. The deadliest terror sits by me at all hours of the day and night. I feel as though my days are numbered, and that I must die. And yet, I shall die incredulous. As for the moral turpitude unveiled me by that man, I cannot, even with tears of penitence, even in memory, dwell on it without a start of horror. I will say but one thing, Utterson, if you can bring your mind to credit it. The creature that crept into my home on that night was, on Jekyll's own confession, known by the name of Edward Hyde, and hunted for in every corner of London as the murderer of Carew.
Had the letter not been in Lanyon's own hand, I may have thought it came from a madman. Yet what I read in those pages, the dread I saw in her eyes on that penultimate visit, though I wished to cast from my mind these otherworldly descriptions, I had to see with my own eyes what had become of Jekyll, and perhaps witness this grisly transformation for myself. It was with great haste I rushed to Jekyll's study. His butler, Poole, so caught up in concern for his master, allowed me approach, knowing that if he had asked permission as before, we both would have been turned away.
He's in here, sir. Hasn't left for 3 days. Muttering in there like a madman.
Henry! I know you're in there!
There must be a way back. There must be a way back.
Henry! Allow me in, or you leave me no choice but to force entry!
Leave me! Leave me be, you fool! God, leave me alone! No one will believe me. No one will believe me. God. God, forgive me for what I've done. Let them know I died a desperate man.
I reported Henry's disappearance to the police. All that was found in his study was the body of an Edward Hyde, his face contorted as if witnessing some great horror, clutching letters penned in Henry's hand, addressed to me. Utterson, if you are reading this, either I have passed, or my will has gone into effect, and my place has been taken by Edward Hyde. I'm sure that Lanyon, before her tragic death, let you know what little of my experiments she understood.
I'm afraid she could not handle the great and terrible truth I had uncovered. The secrets of morality itself. For generations, man was good and evil immutable. Respectability and society dictates that a man must allow good to prevail. Yet within us all, is the filthy, base need to transgress. I had, as all men do, desires. Filthy needs of violence, of self-satisfaction, of depravity, of sin. I had shamefully indulged throughout my life. Hence, I stood already committed to a profound duplicity of life. Adam and Eve could not resist the apple, the call of wisdom, of original sin. I thus drew steadily nearer to that truth, and by whose partial discovery I have been doomed to such a dreadful shipwreck, that man is not truly one, but truly two. For months I toiled over vials and pharmaceutical, searching for that perfect mix to bring forth transformation. And then it came to me. That spark, it was so simple, so excited by my discovery. I had no time to test on any but myself. As the liquid passed my lips, my virtues slumbered. My evil, kept awake by ambition, was swift to seize the occasion. And the thing that was projected was Edward Hyde. I'm sure by now you have realised there was no Edward Hyde. Just a construct, a false identity. I could take on his moniker, his form, and do as I pleased. I found it harder to distance myself from Hyde. I was still Henry Jekyll, despite a few misdeeds here or there. But I found myself wanting more. It was wrong, I know, but why should we as men deny ourselves what is within our nature? It was in this desperation I found myself at Lanyon's door. I found, instead of understanding, abject horror. I thought she, being scientific as I, would understand. I could make her see. But she denied me. I feared the shock of my transformation had killed her, but no, I had no hand in her death. I kept myself locked away, as you well know, but I know now that my time is limited. I will no longer wear the face of Henry Jekyll. My evils consumed me. I beseech you, destroy my work, burn these letters, leave no trace of what I have uncovered. I beg of you, grant a dying man's last wish. Do not let me die a monster. I have paid for Hyde's sins tenfold.
It took me days to find the strength to read those letters. It was a shock. I felt as if I could not trust my own mind. In all the years that I had known Henry, I never would have expected such insane ramblings. Had Lanyon not warned me, had it not been for what I saw with my own eyes, I may have thought it all a farce. And I knew it to be true. For in the dead face of that fiend I saw him, Henry Jekyll, reflected in that monster's eyes. I was the only one to ever know the terrible truth. Henry Jekyll was never found, lost in body and mind. Rumors spread across London of a murderous protege, a love affair, and a man blackmailed. It was better to allow those to go on. I hardly believed the truth myself. In just one short month, I had lost both Lanyon and Jekyll, two good friends and colleagues, to the treacheries of Edward Hyde.